going to talk a little bit about brake lines, fittings, and tools, and when to replace them. This is a wheel cylinder. This can be found on the front of the car brakes or the rear brakes. Brake fluid comes into the wheel cylinder when you step on the brake pedal. It's like a big squirt gun. It squirts the brake fluid inside of this little fitting in here. It goes inside, and there's two pistons that pushes out a pin this way, another pin that way, which then in turn causes the brake shoes to expand outward and stop the car. On this particular wheel cylinder, when you do the brakes, you want to get the air out of the line. There's a little fitting here. It's called a bleeder valve. What happens is the bleeder valve gets so old, and due to the rust, it actually freezes in there. So you try to open it up like a faucet. Instead of the fluid coming back out, it'll just shear right off. This is about a good 40 years old. So we had to get a new wheel cylinder and install it in the car. Now, on this particular one, we had the brake line already removed from the wheel cylinder. This one, too, had a bleeder valve that had to be sheared, too. As you can see, this is typically what you find. The line going in, which was connected to here, when we tried to turn it, it would just go round and round and find this line sheared right off because it was that old. The line will actually weld inside the little fitting. This nut should spin around the line, should slide up and down the line. But the rust made the two as one. So when you try to unscrew it, it just shears right off. So this one, not only the fitting bleeder valve sheared off, but this sheared off as well. Now when you take off a line, you'll always want to use what is called a line wrench. A line wrench has 6 sides to grab the 6 sides of the nut, so it gives it the greatest amount of purchase with no error for slipping. A line wrench is designed to go over the line, slide down, and drop over the actual fitting itself. So when you turn it, you got a full grip. If you were to use a 12-point box end, only the very tips are grabbing the nut. So it's very easy to round this right off. And then you open up Pandora's box and you got a mess of problems. So you never want to use a 12-point box wrench. You never want to use an open-end wrench on it also, because that can also cause it to slip. You want something with 6 sides. This has 6 sides, grabs all 6 sides of the nut and prevents it from turning, from shearing. Now what happens is, when you have 6 sides, if it still doesn't turn, you can shear it off like we did with this one here, and the same thing with this one right here. So we put 2 new wheel cylinders, we put them in here. This is some of the old brake lines. If you look at it, you can see all the rust that's on here. You can't even sand this down to fix it. Some of the other, we just touched it and just snapped right in half when we did it. This part of the line is still good, but this one was bad. This is another brake line. This came from the portioning valve as well. This one you can see was all rusted as well. This one actually rotted out right at the fitting at the portioning valve. This is what a new line looks like. It's got a brass fitting. Goes into a piece of iron. When you have 2 dissimilar metals, brass and iron, you can always unscrew it. This was steel into steel, and they rust together and they fuse together. Had this been a brass fitting like this, you could have saved hours of work and customer a lot of money. It takes a lot of time to get that out. So when the new one goes in, let's see, what's the thing here? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. This is how easy this screws right in here. So if this was still good, you just screw that in there. We'd use the line wrench, put it over here, and then tighten up the line wrench. So this side. This side right here. And you just tighten it up like that. Go around until it snugs and it bottoms out. And then, of course, this will bend very easily. You can use a bending tool or bend it very closely. You don't want to make a sharp bend, you put a kink in it. And that is basically what a new line looks like, a brass fitting into a wheel cylinder. And you're good to go. Any other questions, feel free to give us a call and we're glad to help you out. Thank you.